terror at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Tonight, at least 3 people are dead, more than 100 hurt, and President Obama is vowing to hunt down the people responsible.
Make no mistake, we will get to the bottom of this, and we will find out who did this. We'll find out why they did this.
Live and in HD, this is ABC 7 News at 11 on your side.
Good evening, everyone. The terror didn't stop with the first explosion, as you'll see here in this version of the video that's been put into slow motion for you. There was a second explosion just steps away. Of the 3 people who died as a result of those explosions, we've learned the youngest was just 8 years old. Now, as we mentioned, more than 110 people were hurt in the blasts. Police in Boston say the FBI will lead the investigation, but as of this hour, there are no suspects. We've got team coverage for you on the aftermath of today's deadly explosions. From security changes in front of the White House to the first-person accounts of the tragedy, we'll have it all for you here. But let's start with Tom Rousey, who is live where it all started this afternoon in Boston. Tom.
Hotel lobbies in the downtown area.
I can tell you there's an eerie feeling in much of Boston here tonight. We were driving through the streets a short time ago. Not a lot of folks out in town, a lot of people staying inside this evening. I want to show you where I am. It was just a few blocks that way on Boylston Street where the bombs went off earlier today as some runners were about to finish, injuring over 130 people. Tonight I can tell you this town is still in shock. You talk to people here, they say no one could have possibly seen this coming.
Something just blew up. Run! Go!
Chaos erupted Monday afternoon at the finish line of the Boston Marathon when an explosion followed 13 seconds later by another explosion around 100 yards away, rocked the city.
Like fire. It looked like a fireball or something, and I just heard the glass shatter.
Authorities say more than 130 people were injured and at least 3 were killed when 2 apparent bombs ripped through a crowded sidewalk packed with runners, their families, and fans.
I literally saw the garbage barrel explode. I saw the flash, the fire, the smoke, and I just ran as fast as I could.
Medical personnel were already there to tend to tired and injured runners after the race, so their response was very quick.
This is something they never prepared for, but I know people in the marathon industry definitely are doing their job perfectly. I mean, they responded within 15 seconds. You saw everybody coming down here.
The injuries were similar to those you would see in a war zone.
I saw one guy with his legs gone at the knees, some ankles and feet missing, shrapnel wounds on people on the sides of the head, and other things. It's just not good.
The wounded were quickly taken to area hospitals, and volunteers soon arrived to start giving blood. People also began recounting the horror.
Severe lacerations, amputees, a lot of shrapnel. You know, they were pretty big explosions. They were banging, a lot of blood everywhere.
Law enforcement officials say while this appears to be targeted attacks, it's too early to know who did this, how they pulled it off, or why. The president was informed moments following the explosions, and soon after, he addressed the nation.
Any responsible individuals, any responsible groups will feel the full weight of justice.
I can tell you there were many local runners from the D.C. region here today. About 40 to 50 of them were from a group called the Montgomery County Road Runners. I'm told they believe all of them are okay tonight. One of them is right here, Dan DeFonso of Rockville. And just tell us, Dan, you were telling me earlier, this is kind of the Super Bowl of running. How sad is it that this event has been marred forever?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is a big event for a lot of people. They spend their whole lives trying to qualify for it. Many people train all year, and to have something like this is just absolutely catastrophic and hard to fathom what the families are going through.
All right, Dan, thank you so much. Glad all your members are okay. Dan said he was about a block and a half from Boylston when those bombs went off, so he and the group he was with are okay. But some of the members of the group did hear those bombs go off, he said, and were not far from where they exploded. Live tonight in Boston, Massachusetts, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Tom. Now, there were many first-person accounts of what happened today, and an Arlington man was one of those people who shared his story. He had a front row seat at the finish line and captured almost everything that happened on his camera. Chris Van Cleve is live now at our satellite center with this man's story. Chris.
Well, Leon, he guesses he was about 75 feet away from that first blast. He was across the street, and the images he captured in the chaos that followed are chilling. That's the second explosion at the Boston Marathon and the chaos that follows, captured on John Wall's cell phone camera.
The only thought was going through my head was, I don't want to blow up. I don't want to blow up. I don't want to die here.
Walls came to Boston with his family from Arlington. He was sitting in the stands waiting for his wife Cindy and daughter Katie to cross the finish line.
And all of a sudden, there's this gigantic explosion with like a mortar going off. You saw the flash. You could hear the sounds of folks screaming.
He snapped this photo just after the first blast. You can see the smoke, shattered windows of the building, and people holding their ears. Then he started recording. 4 seconds into the video.
Oh, God, get out of the stands. Get out of the stands.
With smoke from the second explosion filling the street.
Go that way, go that way.
Walls and those around him in the crowd rushed down the stairs, looking for a way to get to safety.
My God.
Oh, my God. Jesus.
Oh, my God.
And when the second one went off, all we could think of was, we've got to get out of here because, nobody's safe.
It took hours to find his wife and daughter, but thankfully, this family will leave Boston unharmed together.
Oh, my God, do I feel lucky to be alive. I couldn't have hugged my wife and daughter anymore. Our knees were shaking, our hearts were pounding.
Now, Cindy Walls was running her 17th Boston Marathon. Her daughter Katie was running her first marathon. The pair were about 8 minutes from the finish line, so about a mile from the blast site. They are headed back here to D.C. tomorrow. Live in the Satellite Center, Chris Van Cleve, ABC 7 News.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Now, as the search for the bomber continues tonight, the explosive devices used in today's attack may provide some important clues on who may be responsible.
And typically homemade bombs, like you would learn to build a bomb via the internet, are sloppy bombs, basically. If this bomb was built by someone that was a bomb maker, like from Iraq or Afghanistan, there are signatures of those type of bombs.
That is former FBI investigator Brad Garrett, and he says that it'll take some time to examine the evidence. Authorities are also searching through security camera tapes in the area and any cell phone videos that were turned into police as well. Now, many of the runners who crossed the finish line at the time of the explosion were caught on camera by a producer who was covering the race for the Boston Globe. Jay Korf is covering that angle from our newsroom tonight. Jay.
Leon, while many people understandably ran for their lives from the blast sites, others went toward the smoke and the screams, including Steve Silva. This was Steve Silva's perspective. The Boston.com sports producer came to cover a running race and left with images reserved only for humanity's darkest moments. If one bomb was not enough, 13 seconds later, another blast.
We saw the first bomb go off and people, blow up in the streets and then the one further down.
Go this way, please! Please, hurry up!
Silva carefully moved in, not knowing what would happen next.
Hey! There's gotta be people hurt up!
He and so many others then witnessed a ghastly scene.
That everybody to my left basically went down.
Dr. Alan Panter was only 20 feet from one of the blast sites. His medical training kicked in. He tried, but could not save a life.
One gentleman had both legs below the knees blown off. The girl that I treated, I could not find any obvious injury to her torso, but she arrested.
In this clip, you'll see the first blast off to the right. Look down the street to the left about 100 yards. That's where the second blast erupted. The cause of the carnage for this journalist was unmistakable as he roamed near a blood-stained sidewalk.
We've had an attack.
And at one point, he could only utter 3 words, a sentiment likely repeated by many on this Monday in Boston.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I checked Steve Silva's Twitter page. His first tweet soon after the blast was simply, quote, "God help us." Reporting live in the newsroom, Jay Korf, ABC 7 News.
All right, thank you, Jay. No doubt he was not alone with making that prayer. Now, folks, as you can imagine, cell phone networks were overwhelmed in the aftermath of the explosions. There were initial reports, though, that law enforcement had shut down cell service near the area of the blast to prevent another device from being detonated by a wireless device. Well, according to our news partners at Politico, that report turns out to be false. Carriers like Sprint and AT&T later acknowledged that there were some issues because of the spike in network activity. Now, as we mentioned at the start of the coverage tonight, almost immediately following the blast, Pennsylvania Avenue was shut down to pedestrian traffic in front of the White House here in D.C. ABC 7's Jeff Goldberg is covering the changes that law enforcement are making here in our area. Jeff?
Well, Leon, U.S. Capitol Police stepped up patrols and visibility all around the Capitol complex, where flags are now flying at half-staff. All across the city, authorities making it clear they were responding to Boston with action. As evening descends upon the nation's capital, a visible reminder this is not a typical Monday.
Just such a sad, shocking thing. It's horrifying.
Rebecca Schwartz and Kristen DeCarmine, themselves marathon runners, noticed the unusual police presence and kept on moving.
I don't feel any more unsafe than I normally do. You just go about your business and do your daily routine.
Routine changed in a hurry in D.C. following the explosions in Boston. Outside the White House, police closing off Pennsylvania Avenue to pedestrian traffic while armed officers make their presence clear. The Pentagon also responding by adding more officers in and outside the building. And at metro stations like L'Enfant Plaza, Metro Transit canine units inspect the area, extra patrols watching over rush hour.
I want to say right at the outset that we stand ready.
D.C. Mayor Vincent Gray and city public safety leaders assuring residents and visitors of no specific threat in the district. But authorities making it known security is heightened citywide, some of it visible, some not.
We would do that anytime there's an incident anywhere, nationally or internationally, until we have enough information to feel very comfortable that there's no potential connection here to Washington, D.C.
No, I'm not really concerned. There's nothing, I can't do nothing about it, and it's our country and it's our capital, and hopefully it's well protected.
And it was not just in the district where authorities were responding to what happened today in Boston. The University of Maryland, the Maryland State Police, and Prince George's County Police all increasing security at landmarks purely as a precaution. Live outside the Capitol, Jeff Goldberg, ABC 7 News.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Jeff. New York City immediately increased security after the deadly explosions. Police, along with bomb-sniffing dogs, searched outside of LaGuardia Airport tonight. The rest of the city went on high alert shortly after the blast. Officers are focusing their efforts on high-traffic areas like Penn Station, Grand Central Station, and Madison Square Garden there. Our coverage of the Boston Marathon explosions continues here next.
I'm Autria Godfrey, coming up here firsthand from those from our area who witnessed today's terrifying events and how some here are trying to offer their support tonight.
And I'm Doug Hill in the Belford Furniture Weather Center. A cool, damp evening, but another big warming trend is on the way. We'll have the forecast for you just minutes away when ABC 7 News at 11 continues. Stay with us.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 11 on your side.
People here in our area are remembering those who lost their lives in today's bombings at the Boston Marathon. Autria Godfrey live now in Northwest, where a candlelight vigil is underway right now. Autria.
Leon, a very touching moment here earlier tonight when about 50 or so people came here to light candles, lift those victims up in prayer, and then they started singing Amazing Grace. And some of those folks are still here. This was put on tonight by George Washington Catholics, but they wanted everyone to know that it was certainly open to all faiths. And about 50 people turned out to light some candles and to say some prayers and to sing some songs. And I want to point out that a lot of the people that came are from the Boston area, and they say that they had tried desperately all day long to get in touch with their friends and family members and loved ones up there in the Boston area. Many of them say that it wasn't until right before they arrived here tonight that they were able to talk to some of their friends and family members and say that they are all okay. In the meantime, we are hearing from those from here in our area that traveled to Boston to take part in the marathon, and they are telling us exactly what it was like to be in the midst of those images we've been watching all day long. The blast that turned Boylston Street into a bloodbath speaks for itself. But in the horrifying moments that followed, first-hand accounts paint a picture of sheer terror.
Everyone seemed very, very confused. It was a chaotic scene, and people were immediately saying, "Oh, it's a bomb, it's a bomb." And
I would say that the bombs went off about 3 minutes after I crossed the finish line, and we heard a huge explosion. We turned around and we saw the plumes of white smoke, and I looked at the guy next to me and said, "That can't be good." And he said, "No, that's really bad." And
the billowing smoke cleared, revealing blood-stained sidewalks, shrapnel littering the runner's route, and eyewitnesses describe human limbs flying through the air. It's a scene many say can only be described as a war zone.
It sounded just like an artillery cannon going off, so kind of knew it wasn't going to be good, whatever it was.
Fellow racers closer to the blast relayed how serious the situation was.
He saw the smoke come up, and
was able to call before everyone realized what was going on and said, I think something big has happened. I'm just waiting for my girlfriend and we got to get out of here.
But in the midst of the chaos, confusion, and mass casualties, Eric Nelson, who was waiting for his wife to cross the finish line, says an eerie silence seemed to confirm something sinister had happened.
It was really eerie and quiet. I mean, I think people were confused, but you could get a sense that something bad had happened. A lot of people were asking, like, did some trains crash? Did something fall off a building? But, I mean, there was a real sense that something very eerie had taken place.
According to the marathon's website, more than 1,200 people from the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area had registered to run in the marathon. I talked with a number of running clubs today. They say that so far they have not come across any members that are unaccounted for. Live in Northwest Washington, Autria Godfrey, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Autria. Our coverage of the Boston Marathon explosions will continue online at WJLA.com. And, of course, we'll have up-to-the-minute information tomorrow morning at 4:30 on Good Morning Washington. And, of course, we'll continue to follow the story in the coming days as well as authorities hunt down whoever is responsible for this attack. Now, we change gears here and we move on to check our forecast right now with our chief meteorologist, Doug Hill, who's in tonight. Doug, I hope you've got some good news to report for us tonight.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some warmer temperatures. It'll be kind of unsettled weather this week with shower chances just about every day, but temperatures will definitely climb up. 63 today, 57 the morning low. So the high was below average, the low was above average. I think it'll go into the books probably 3 degrees above average temperatures on this Monday. At this hour, still fairly mild out there with the clouds. Actually, a flow of east to southeast cool, damp breezes, keeping it cloudy. 59 degrees now in the nation's capital, in the mid to upper 50s area wide. So you don't see a lot of features on this infrared satellite and radar, but just this moist flow. We may get into a little sunshine at times. A weak cool front tomorrow may give us a slight chance of a shower, and the front's going to hang out in the neighborhood as we head through Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now it's going to allow temperatures to come up a bit, but each afternoon it could serve as a focus for a few showers and storms. But it will be Friday when a much stronger cold front pulls in from the north and west that I think widespread showers and thunderstorms are going to be part of our Friday weather. In the morning, partly sunny, 52 to 56, the range of temperatures, and through the day, we'll call for partly sunny weather into the 70s, so a big jump, isolated showers late in the day, and then check out these temperatures continuing to climb, but the chances of precipitation will climb each day as well, with high temperatures about 80 degrees on Thursday and Friday, turning much, much cooler over the weekend with some lingering showers into Saturday.
Okay, thank you for that. And the tour of the studio.
That was nice.
We just got there for a second. What are you going to do? Can you top that?
Well, not really, but I can tell you a couple of area basketball stars pack their bags to get ready to open big bank accounts. The Wizards get trapped by the Nets in Brooklyn, and the Nats go after the Fish in Miami and go deep to get the Marlins. I've got it all for you coming up next in sports.
And now the Toyota Sports Desk, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers.
It was Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball, and for the Nationals, well, it was a night to get back in the win column. Jordan Zimmermann goes the distance for the win. Let me take you back to Miami. That's where we'll start. This was a very special night in baseball. All the players wore 42, honoring one of their own. It was 66 years ago that the great Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. I was interested to see how the Nats would respond after being swept by the Braves over the weekend. They came up big, exploded for 16 hits, 5 for extra bases. This is Tyler Moore with an RBI double. Moore went 2 for 4 with 3 runs batted in. It was also a big night for Ryan Zimmerman. Folks, Ryan Zimmerman went yard for the first time this year, deep center field. Now, Zim had 2 hits, 4 runs batted in. Ian Desmond had 4 hits. The Nats win 10-3 and go to 8-5 for the season. Our play of the day comes from Cincinnati. Phillies and Reds. Bottom of the second. Todd Frazier rips a shot to deep center. Whoops, look out. Great catch. Say hey, Willie Mays. Ben Rivera with the catch. Gets it back into the infield. And yes, sir, double play. And that is our play of the night. How about the catch? And for basketball fans, the Wizards are winding down their final games of the season tonight in Brooklyn against the Nets. Washington led by as many as 17 points but couldn't hold it. Here we go to the Barclays Center. Final seconds. This was the door slammer. Tyshawn Taylor with a 3-ball splash. Taylor had 14 points, 11 of those in the fourth quarter to lead the comeback. The Nets win it 106-101. In college basketball, Georgetown sophomore All-American Otto Porter Jr. announced today that he is leaving school to make himself eligible for the NBA draft. Porter was the Big East Player of the Year. He will certainly be a lottery pick in June, but he said he labored over this decision.
The toughest part was, knowing that you're going to leave a great place like this. I love this place. It was tough. I had to think about it each and every night, whether to stay or whether to go.
Meanwhile, a news conference will be held tomorrow in College Park where Maryland's 7-1 center Alex Len will announce he's going to enter the NBA draft. The sophomore is expected to be a top 8 lottery pick. Len added 35 pounds of muscle last summer, led the ACC with 78 blocks this season, grew a great deal as a player, and he will now cash in big time. And one final note, in the aftermath of the horrific situation at the Boston Marathon today, the Boston Celtics have canceled their home game against Indiana tomorrow night and will travel instead to their final regular season game Wednesday in Toronto.
All right. Thanks for that. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Gunfire erupted on the streets of D.C. tonight. A man was shot around 8 o'clock on 5th Street Northwest. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. Police now still looking for the shooter. Investigators are asking anyone out there with information to give them a call as soon as possible. Doug has a final look at the forecast when we come back after the break. Don't go away. Just a reminder here, our coverage of the Boston Marathon explosions continues overnight on our website, WJLA.com. And then, folks, be sure and tune into Good Morning Washington at 4:30 a.m. Scott and Sinead will have all the breaking updates and developments for you then. But now, let's get the latest word on the weather.
Yeah, still kind of damp and cool out there. A lot of clouds, but we'll start to warm up tomorrow. Take a look at the next 7 days. Becoming partly sunny. Highs in the mid-70s. Just a chance of an afternoon shower. Upper 70s on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday near 80. And we'll ramp up the chances of showers each day. Friday, showers and storms likely. Some could be heavy. A bit of clearing after some Saturday morning showers. Jackie Jarris with more on the weather on Good Morning Washington.
All right, sounds good. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us. But stay tuned. Jimmy Kimmel Live is coming up next. And, of course, we'll have the latest updates on the Boston situation for you right here in the morning. Good night. See you tomorrow.